Stephen Conroy?
No, I think we've been very, very forward-leaning, if I were to put it at its most polite. I think our inability to guarantee baseload supply and our positions around Adani have left us vulnerable to punishment in Queensland. And for those who wanted to believe that that would benefit us in a Victorian situation, our Victorian results are good, but they're not anywhere near good enough to balance the fact that we've made no progress, if not gone backwards, in Queensland. So I think certainly there has to be some pragmatism around our climate position so that we can reposition ourselves. And I've always believed, and I've said so publicly many times and privately in the party, if we can't guarantee baseload supply into the next 5 and 10 years, will we make the transition? That's not about not making the transition, but you've got to be able to guarantee baseload supply.
So you think that headline 45% emissions reduction is something that will need to be looked at by Labor?
Yeah, no, I think when you look at what caused... I think the thing we struggled with the most, and it was sometimes difficult to watch our front benchers try and explain what the costs around our policy were.
Yep.
Because we were so forward-leaning. I think that was my biggest issue. If there was a negative, if you want to go, oh, that one, I think... It was an Achilles heel. And we were exposed and we looked uncomfortable trying to explain that.
Richard Miles, do you agree?
Look, I think, again, I feel like I would like to hear Bill speak, and I think he's about to. But
yeah, no, I appreciate that.
But there are, I mean, you know, there are some things you can say. One is we are a reformist party, and being ambitious and having policy is in our DNA. It's also obvious to make the point that, and Graham's completely right, I mean, you need to look at results and you need to appropriately react to them. And at the end of the day, you know, being pragmatic and engaging in the art of the possible is what politics is about. Now, we need to have a look at all of that in the light of what falls out of tonight and work our way forward. You know, I think it's really important that we do that in a way which holds true to who we are as a party.
I want to show you this state-by-state look at Labor's primary vote. It's a fascinating chart of where our country's at, I suppose, and some of the issues we're talking about here in Labor's policy mix. But in New South Wales, it sits at just under 35%, the primary vote for Labor. In Victoria, that's its strong state, right? It's sitting at 36.8%. Bear in mind, ACT is a different kettle of fish in a small jurisdiction. But Victoria and New South Wales are the two big states, and that's where the primary vote sits. In Queensland, then it drops right down. It is what, 9% lower in Queensland than it is in Victoria.
Well, we clearly have to be competitive in Queensland. I mean, that again, that is to state the obvious.
And if you're getting less than 30% of the vote in a state like Queensland...
I think the Libs got a little bit of a pick-up out of Queensland, or the LNP, because of Malcolm not running this time round. Honestly, because he did not resonate in 2016, so I think there's been some gains on the back of that. Scott Morrison has really resonated in Queensland.
I think that's true.
But can I just... Graham was also right that like Labor can put an electable proposition to the people of Queensland, and Anastasia Palaszczuk has proven that. And I think, you know, running Australia, running any country, we're a G20 country. There are going to be complexities and there are going to be differences from one place to another, and it's about making sure that you can balance those in a sensible way. But clearly we need to be competitive in Queensland.